From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gleason.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Thank you. We're going to start off this morning with a salute to the flag, followed by a moment of prayer, silence, and meditation. Our salute will be led by Eagle Scout Andrew Hoffman with Boy Scout Troop 13. Andrew.
Please lead me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
Thank you. The morning agendas are in the back of the room on the tables by the doors as you enter. Please grab one so you can follow along. We'll start off this morning with a review of the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA or C above the item number are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. The CA represents the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. The C represents the consent agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority and or the Ford City Taft Heights Sanitation District, or the IHSS Public Authority, which will be this morning. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the board or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda. It will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. So going through the agenda, I see that item number 2 has been taken off the consent agenda. Items under departmental requests, items number 9, Board of Trade 10, Child Support Services 11 and 12, Clerk of the Board 13 through 23, County Council 24, Fire Department 25 through 28, Human Services 30, Library nothing, Mental Health Services 32 through 34, Public Health Services 35, 37, 38, 39, 40, Emergency Medical Services Division 41, Environmental Health Division items 42 and 43, Sheriff 44, and Veterans Services Department item number 45. Anybody in the public wishing to pull any of these items off the consent agenda, now's the time. Seeing none, I'll bring to the board for comment, consideration, and a vote to approve the consent agenda, to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors, and to reconvene as the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority.
So moved.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
We are now sitting as the In-Home Support Services Public Authority. Reviewing the consent agenda, we have item number 1. Is there anyone in the public wishing to pull this item off the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board and look for a vote to approve the consent agenda and to adjourn as the In-Home Supportive Services Public Authority and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors.
So moved.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Brings us to resolutions and proclamations, and we're going to do a little thing a little different. We're going to do items 3 and 5 together, and I'll be making those presentations, and then we'll do one vote for both. So I'm looking for a vote to proclaim October 2016 as Filipino-American History Month in Kern County, followed by a proclamation to proclaim October 11th to 17th, 2016 as Navy Week in Kern County.
Moved. I move that. Second.
Please cast your votes.
Supervisor Perez, please reconfirm your vote. Thank you. The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. We'll kick off with a proclamation for the Filipino American History Month. It's such a great honor to be associated with a large culture of Filipinos in Kern County. They've added an immense quality to an improvement in the quality of our lives and what they do up in Delano. I can't tell you how proud I am to be a member of that community and to share with them their festivals, their honors, their traditions. I truly enjoy spending time with those people up there. They're just a class unto themselves, and they're wonderful people. Filipinos have played a large role in the United States, especially over the past 100 years. From immigrating as students in the early 1900s to being one of our most loyal allies in World War II, many even served in the U.S. military throughout the war, especially in the Navy, and still do today. A large number of Filipinos, like so many others, migrated west during the Dust Bowl of the 1930s to work on the California farms and settled throughout the San Joaquin Valley. A famous Filipino migrant worker named Larry Itiong rose to national prominence when he, did I pronounce that right?
Itliong.
Itliong, thank you. Yeah, that was pretty close, pretty good. Famous Filipino, he rose to national prominence when he, along with other Filipinos, organized the Delano Grape Strike of 1965, which we know all too well here, eventually being joined by Cesar Chavez. Though many Filipinos were highly skilled and well-educated, they lived on relatively low incomes at home in the Philippines throughout the 60s and 70s. The United States was one world of the most prosperous nations at the time, and these qualified individuals began migrating and bringing those skills here and putting them to work on many sectors, especially training nurses and other healthcare professionals. Filipinos are one of the largest immigrant groups in the United States and have contributed in no small way to the success and the advancement of America, especially in Kern County. I'm proud to represent this community on the Board of Supervisors, and it is an honor to proclaim on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, October 2016 as Filipino American History Month in Kern County, and this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes by myself, signed October 11th, 2016. We're privileged to have with us Mr. Jay Tamsey, who's going to offer us a few words. Jay.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's yours.
All right, thank you so much, Chairman of the Board, McGleason, and board members. I just wanted to say on behalf of the Filipino community of Delano, as the president, Filipino History Month is celebrated throughout the state of California as well as the United States, and I'm just honored to receive this proclamation on behalf of the Filipino community of Delano, which we have a large Filipino population there. Over 40% of the population is Filipino. And this weekend we'll be celebrating and honoring the birthday of Larry Itliong, who was one of the founders of the one of the founders of the farm worker movement. And so, Chairman of the Board, thank you for this recognition. I'd like to invite everybody in the community of Kern County to our event this weekend, October 15th, Saturday, where we'll be honoring the best, and it's selected by our members. And I'm honored. My father will be recognized that day for his contributions to the Filipino community of Delano, as well as Nicole Villaruz, her grandmother. Nicole works for Supervisor Perez. Her grandmother will be honored as well. So thank you so much for this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. So if you want some good food this weekend, you know where to go. Captain? Have some. There. Okay. How are you? Good. Captain, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate it. It's a great pleasure to talk about the Navy. As you all know, I spent a large portion of the majority of my life in the Navy. Well, almost. 27 years, not quite half, but almost. Anyway, let me introduce the Navy for you, and then let me introduce a naval aviator to you who looks a lot better in his blues than I ever did. And another one of the great Americans who serves as a sailor in the United States Navy. But I want to take a moment to honor the Navy's 242nd birthday. The U.S. Navy was established in the early days of the American Revolution. Our first president, General George Washington, used his power as commander-in-chief to convert a band of fishing schooners into warships in order to help the wage tactical raids against the transports that were supplying British forces in North America. The following month, on October 13, 1775, the Continental Congress officially established the United States Navy. In the years since the Navy was established, it has fought in 10 major wars and countless battles across the globe, all while remaining on the forefront of military innovation. The first airplane to take off from a ship was when Eugene Ely, we're familiar with his history, piloted a Curtiss D-3, took off from a Navy cruiser called the USS Birmingham on November of 1910. During the First World War, Navy pilots were tasked to hunt down U-boats from the cockpits of biplanes and did so successfully from 1917 to 1918. In 1930, the Navy developed a system for detecting enemy vessels which would become known as radar. The following year, the USS Lexington. Do you have any traps on the Lexington?
No.
Okay, I got a couple.
It was a little before my time.
Oh, cut to the core, cut to the core. The following year, the USS Lexington was dispatched to Nicaragua for humanitarian relief following a devastating earthquake. It marks the first time an aircraft carrier was used to deliver medical personnel, supplies, and provisions in relief operations. NAS China Lake, right here in Kern County, on D-Day, June 6, 1944, the Navy, in conjunction with other Allied forces, participated in the largest ever amphibious assault. Later that same year, the Navy won the largest maritime battle in history at the Battle of Leyte Gulf, also known as the Battle of the Bulge. Many U.S. presidents have served in the U.S. Navy, including John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, and George H.W. Bush. Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin D. Roosevelt were assistant secretaries of the Navy before becoming president. The U.S. Navy had a long and incredible history, of which NAS China Lake has played a very prominent role. Thanks in no spot to the contributions and discoveries made right here in Kern County, the U.S. Navy has proclaimed many firsts, both on and off the battlefield. It has aided many people in this crisis, has claimed many victories in combat, and has helped to shape many of our nation's leaders, has provided humanitarian relief throughout the world, and has built an enduring legacy. It is an honor to have served with this remarkable branch of the military, and it is with great pride that I wish it and all of the sailors throughout the world a happy 242nd birthday, and proclaim October 11th to 17th as Navy Week in Kern County. Captain Adams, would you care to add a few words, please?
Certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Gleason, distinguished members of the board, it is my distinct pleasure to be here today to accept this proclamation to start Navy Week here in Bakersfield, California. It's been a long road that led to getting here to Kern County, 30 years in the Navy, flying helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, deploying to lovely spots such as Bosnia, Iraq, and last tour running the Operations Center of the Pentagon, doing wonderful things like humanitarian disaster relief in Japan, Haiti, and other parts of the world. That being said, the Navy has been around for 242 years and hopefully will be here in perpetuity, and it is my distinct pleasure to accept this proclamation of Navy Week in the lovely Kern County and Bakersfield, California. Thank you.
Can you just wait just a second? He's going to.
Thank you, Supervisor Gleason and board members. Dick Taylor, your County Veteran Service Officer. I might add, we have with us today Petty Officer First Class Herman Lira, who is a U.S. Navy recruiter with the East Bakersfield Recruiting Station with the Navy. We're fortunate to have him here. And I might also add that Captain Adams is the Senior Naval Science Instructor at West High Junior ROTC, and they consistently send top-notch teenagers to our Marine Corps Devil Pups program. And I think we had 4 or 5 graduate this year, and one from just last year is down at Prairie View A&M down with the Navy ROTC program with the Marine Corps option, I believe. So anyway, thanks again, and I appreciate it, Supervisor Gleason, and we're very, very fortunate to have fine men and women like this in our community.
Thanks. Thanks, Larry. Thank you very much. Captain, thanks, sir. Thank you very much. We're going to go back to item number 2, which has been pulled off consent, and a resolution honoring Deputy Chief Benny F. Wooford, Fire Department, upon his retirement with 30 years of dedicated service to the County of Kern. Supervisor Couch.
Motion to adopt the resolution and make the presentation.
Second.
Cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's, these events are always, in one way, they're kind of happy events. We're congratulating an employee that's served the county so well for a long time, but we're also losing that employee. And so it's a little bit bittersweet. Today we're honoring and commending Deputy Chief Benny F. Wofford upon his retirement with 30 years of dedicated service to Kern County. I'm going to read the proclamation. I'm going to turn it over to the chief, but when I'm done, I want to tell you what Benny told me he's going to be up to in his retirement. He told me this yesterday. Just happened to have a meeting yesterday, and I asked him what he was going to do, and I'll tell you what he said. Whereas Benny F. Wofford began his firefighting career with the Kern County Fire Department on January 28, 1987, as a firefighter in the Taft Fire Station, and he was promoted to fire engineer in March 1999, to fire captain in October 2001, to battalion chief in October 2010, and to deputy chief in December of 2015. Deputy Chief Wofford served in a wide range of specialty positions, including time spent as a hazardous material specialist, fire inspector, public information officer, public education officer, and assistant fire marshal. And as battalion chief, he has served as both an operations chief and fire marshal. As deputy chief, he served as an operations chief and directed the fire training and fire prevention units. And Deputy Chief Wofford has served as a certified instructor for the California State Fire Marshal's Office and an adjunct professor at Bakersfield College. He has that professorial look about him. Deputy Chief Wofford has also been an instructor for both the Kern County Fire Department Recruit and Bakersfield College Student Academies. And he has served on the advisory board for the Kern High School District's ROC firefighting program. And Deputy Chief Wofford has been heavily involved in the development and updating of local fire and building codes over the last 15 years. Throughout his career, Deputy Chief Wofford has been a loyal and dedicated employee, leader, and colleague with the County of Kern, and has earned the admiration of his co-workers as well as the public that he served. We wish him the very best in his future endeavors. And yesterday, as I said, we were meeting in my office on a separate issue, and I asked him what he was going to do in retirement, and he said, well, I've been working for the County of Kern, now I'll be working for Mrs. Wofford. So let me finish this up and say now, therefore, it is resolved. That last part is not in the official resolution, by the way. It probably should be. You're right. It is resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, does hereby honor and commend Benny F. Wofford upon his retirement with 30 years of dedicated service to the County of Kern. It's adopted today, October 11, 2016, signed by all the members of the board. I want to turn it over to the chief, who has some words to say about Benny.
Thank you. Chairman Gleason, members of the board, that's a hard act to follow, working for Mrs. Wofford. Hard to believe 30 years ago, Benny and I came to work at the same time, same fire academy, and here we stand today as he retires, and I will say this publicly, he will be sorely missed in the fire service in the Kern County Fire Department. Benny's devoted most of his life to the prevention of fires, and as I've said time and time again before this board, it's way easier to prevent the fires, it's cheaper to prevent the fires, it's better to prevent the fires than to have them occur. And Benny's devoted most of his life, and he's taken our Fire Prevention Bureau to a whole new level. Before I continue, I know we have several of his co-workers and his family. If they could stand up. A lot of Kern County firefighters here today and his family as we truly honor a professional firefighter who has taken the Kern County Fire Department to the level of professionalism, the dedication. I could go on for hours talking about all of what Chief Wofford's done. He will be sorely missed, but I guess he'll be working for Mrs. Wofford now, so congratulations, Benny.
Thank you, Chief Marshall, members of the board, Supervisor Couch, ex-driller, by the way, once a driller, always. When you read this bio, you'd probably think that I never got a chance to even fight a fire. So I'd like to contend that my first 15 years was strictly operations. I've probably been at the most busy stations that you could find, which led me to the office of the fire marshal, and I started. I was looking for a 40-hour week, let's just put it that way. And you, as inspector, you work a 40-hour week, different from operations. And my daughters were 7 years old, and they wanted to play basketball. So I started coaching YMCA basketball, and they're here today, 26 years old now, master's degrees, and it's because of this job and this profession, this county, that I was able to provide for them in a way that a dad should, and I'm lucky to be here. Lucky to have worked for this county, this guy right here, the people behind me, and all I have to say is I'm proud to be a fifth-generation Wofford here in Kern County and to work for the Kern County Fire Department. I appreciate your time and for bearing with me. Take care.
I don't envy who's next. But it's going to be to proclaim November and December 2016 as Kern County Cares Canned Food Drive months in Kern County. Supervisor Scrivener.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to approve.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Please reconfirm your vote, Supervisor Perez. Thank you. Motion is approved, all ayes.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here to proclaim November and December 2016 as Kern County Cares Canned Food Drive months. The Golden Empire Gleaners has requested the help of Kern County employees for its annual drive to collect non-perishable foods for distribution to the county's needy children and their families. All donated foods and monetary donations will be given to the Gleaners, who will use it in programs located throughout Kern County. There is much need for this food drive. 33% of children in Kern County live below the poverty line. The Gleaners' mission is to help alleviate hunger, and it provides food to approximately 15,000 persons of all ages every single month. Last year, 27 departments in the county participated in the drive that raised $24,000 and 21,000 pounds of food, and we're confident that we can beat that amount this year. I have with me Dina Murphy, who heads up our Department of Human Services. Her department is going to be coordinating the collection and the food drive this year. As we know, in the past it was Waste Management that did that, and so Dina, if you can come forward, I want to present this proclamation. The Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed November and December 2016 as Kern County Cares Canned Food Drive months in Kern County. This recognition has been entered into our official minutes, signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mick Gleason. Thank you for taking this on for the county, and I know you have a few words to say, and we have one other person we'll ask you to introduce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have Jim Wheeler, the Executive Director of Gleaners, here with me. Before I have Jim come up and tell you just a little bit about the statistics and the operation and what he does, I'd like to share with you, I was so honored last year when I became involved. I wasn't honored when I was first asked because I thought, my goodness, here's another thing to take on. And the minute that I got into their organization and realized that there was just Jim and one other full-time employee and everyone else was a volunteer, and they get food to 15,000 people a month all over Kern County, children, elders, and families in need. I was just in awe of their ability to rally with a passion all of these volunteers that faithfully, and he has a Monday team, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday team of older ladies who man the office and a lot of gentlemen who move the groceries. When we took on the charge last year, we were a little late, and Supervisor Couch was kind enough to make the announcement for us from the board pulpit there, and we were able to exceed previous year's food goals. And as Supervisor Scrivener stated, around 21,000, excuse me, in monies that were donated, and out of, 24,000. And I want to mention that in that 24,000, Doug Landon made an effort to put together a golf team, and about 6,000 of that was represented from his effort. So that was just outstanding, and we're planning on him doing better this year. So we have set a larger goal this year because we're starting just a little earlier. We're kicking off November 7th, and we'll conclude on December 16th. And our goal this year will be $25,000 in money and 35,000 pounds for a combined total of 85,000 pounds between the money and the food goods. And Jim is going to tell you what this means to him, but I'll tell you, he's just a very, he's a blessed person. He's a godly man, and he believes in feeding the needy. He believes this with his whole heart and soul, and there couldn't be a better relationship, I think, than between the Department of Human Services and the Gleaners for making sure that our community is well served, and that those folks who wonder where their next meal will come from won't have to wonder because Jim fills the shoes. So Jim, if I could turn this over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Honorable Chairman and Honorable Supervisors, Honorable Supervisor Scrivener, thank you so much for the opportunity to partner with the employees of Kern County, the staff. We appreciate what you do for us so much. I can't express to you how much it means to us, especially at the holiday season, for the Kern County Cares campaign to replenish our food sources and also to help us with our finances at the end of the year. It really makes a big difference. And I have to really thank Dina so much. As she mentioned, last year, we weren't sure what was going to happen. We weren't sure whether we were even going to be able to have a Kern County Cares campaign, thanks to Mr. Nylon. I think he might have twisted an arm or two to have Dina step in with her group, and she has a great team. But I appreciate Dina so much for stepping in. They did a great job last year, and I'm so much looking forward to the campaign this year and increasing. And I know it's an increase in a very difficult time in our county. I know the county, the supervisor staff are making lots of sacrifices, so I appreciate the efforts and I appreciate the desire to increase. When the economy goes down, the need goes up, and so our need is up. As was mentioned, last year we collected and distributed over the last few years about 2 million pounds of food in Kern County. Kern County is number 4 in the country in food insecurity. That means we have more people. There's only 3 other communities in our country that have more people waking up each morning not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. And we're doing our part. We have a great community. There's lots of great nonprofits that are helping, but we're doing our part for the last 31 years, and we couldn't do it without your help. And so again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And looking forward to meeting back with you in January, reporting our great results. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brings us to the next item, item number 6, proclaim October 12, 2016 as Rosie the Riveter Day in Kern County. Supervisor Maggart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would make that motion.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Do you mind if we have Zood come up too? Yeah. I did. Good morning, man. Thank you for your service to our country.
Beg your pardon?
Thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah.
Good morning. I did. Good morning. Colleagues, it is my distinct honor this morning to come before you to help us proclaim October 12, 2016 as Rosie of the River Day in Kern County. If there's one distinct difference between the wars we fight today and the wars that were fought in the Second World War, the war that was fought in the Second World War, it is that today just a fraction of our countrymen, of our population, pay the price, the sacrifice, endure the hardship of fighting war. In the Second World War, our entire country was involved in the war effort. Our entire country, all of our population suffered the consequences of that. And Rosie the Riveter is a name that is given, it's become kind of the name that's been given to all of the women who did not, very few of them were actually in our armed services, and a few had support roles and whatnot, but the vast majority of women in our country that were involved in the war effort did so by working in factories, helping to assemble airplanes, make airplane parts, and in a second I'll introduce some people that are here. But Dick, I don't think I've ever told you this before, but my own grandmother, my mother's mother, was a Rosie the Riveter. She, in Lincoln, Nebraska, she worked in a it was called a stop nut factory, and they made Loctite bolts that went on airplanes over and over and over and over again. And so it is something that has been done by many, many people in our community. And we have the distinct honor of declaring tomorrow, October 12th, as Rose of the River Day, because we're going to open at the Kern County Museum a monument for those who have served in that effort. Now, Dick, can you come up, and I don't know who all we're going to give this to. Maybe we had to give it to a Rosie. I think we should do that?
You betcha.
So why don't you tell us who she is first, and then I'll introduce some of the other folks.
You bet. Thank you, Supervisor Maggard and honorable board members. So we're joined today by one of my heroes, and this is Mrs. Lynetta Johnson. And let me just give you a quick bio on some of the things she did during World War II. And she was one of those that was instrumental in the country ultimately being victorious in World War II. So in spite of just her meager appearance here, she worked on B-17 bombers, assembling them right here in Bakersfield on California Avenue, just less than a mile from here at the plant. She helped assemble bomb racks, bomb bay doors, and wings for B-17s. And and then also we're joined today by her son, Roy Johnson, as a Coast Guard veteran of Vietnam, and he's here too. But I want to introduce our other guest, but I want to have Ms. Johnson come up, if that's okay.
While she's coming up, we also have with us David Womack, who's the public face oftentimes of Kaiser. Kaiser Permanente is a great corporate citizen in our community. They are very generous. They've helped us with some of our projects at Kern Medical, and they are a major sponsor in fact, the major sponsor of this effort. And we're also, I guess you've been before us once, I think, so far. This is Zoot Velasco, who is the new Chief Executive Officer of the Kern County Museum, where this is going to take place and where the monument is. So, Mrs. Johnson, may I read to you this proclamation? First, we want to thank you for your service to our country, for the life that you've led and the example that you have been to all of us. We're grateful for that. It would be fun to hear stories about what you saw, what you experienced. You've led quite a life, and you represent so many others who have done this. So it is our pleasure today to proclaim tomorrow, October 12, 2016, as Rosie the Riveter Day here in Kern County, evidenced by the signature of our chairman, the Honorable Mick Gleason, here this is the 11th day of October, but tomorrow, October 12th, is the actual Rosie of the Riveter Day. Thank you very much for all you've done for our country, and please take this on behalf of all those who served with you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Would you like to say anything?
I would just like to say that when I worked for 2 years, and we made bomb racks, and I worked on the wing section. So and I worked for 2 years.
Very good. Well, thank you. I hope maybe she put one of those Loctite bolts that my grandma made.
Probably so.
Well, congratulations. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
I hope
you.
you're able to enjoy tomorrow. And will we have any other Rose of the Riveters there, you think,
We
tomorrow?
will.
Yes.
You bet.
Very good.
Yep, we have several.
Okay.
And then if we got to have David Womack come up and say a few words, I'll have you come on back here.
Okay.
Just hang right here. Just turn around.
Okay.
So Chairman Gleason, Supervisors, it is really our great honor at Kaiser Permanente to be able to have the good fortune to sponsor such events and honor American heroes like the Rosie the Riveters. And many people may not realize that our stories of Kaiser Permanente and Rosie the Riveters actually overlap. Henry J. Kaiser provided health care to his Wendy the Welders, they were actually called, in his shipyards and in his steel plants during World War II. And it was that experiment that actually gave birth to what we know as Kaiser Permanente today. So our stories overlap, they intertwine, and we just couldn't be more proud of that heritage. And thank you so much for this proclamation.
Thank you. Zoot, would you like to, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the actual monument and where it's going to be and a little bit about how the public can come enjoy it?
Sure. This means a lot to me. My mother worked in World War II, working in solar aircraft in San Diego, making the first rockets with my father, and that's how they met. So this means a lot to me. This plaque will be forever at the museum, at our museum here, the Kern Pioneer Village, and it will commemorate Rosie the Riveters for all time, so that when we give tours of 3rd and 4th grade students of local and California history, this will become part of our tours. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
Good to see you today. Thank you very much.
Great job.
We could go now.
You betcha. Thank you, Dave. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Try to follow that.
Okay, thank you very much. Brings us to item number 7, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on the agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask for a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name. Anybody wishing to make a public presentation? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Chairman Gleason, members of the board. My name is Lauren Skidmore, and I am here today on behalf of myself as a landowner in District 1 in the White areas. I'm representing a group of White area landowners who have come together as an outcome of SGMA. We are White undistricted areas, and we have been meeting for the past few months, working with other landowners in over 480,000 acres in Kern County. Last week, we sent out letters updating the landowners that there was going to be an agenda item today on your meeting agenda regarding the White area lands and a vote that could take place. We were informed late last week that that was not on today's agenda, and so I wanted to make sure to speak on behalf of the White area landowners that we are very much interested in the county providing local control for our areas, the undistricted areas, versus the state of California taking us over. There might be some other landowners present today, and so I wanted to make sure they had the opportunity and understood that we are not on the agenda and that they would speak during public comment. But we look forward to talking with you in the future, and thank you for all of you for meeting with us independently and having great dialogue, and for the county for being at our meetings and helping keep us up to speed on what is quickly approaching in regards to SGMA. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Skidmore. Are there any landowners living in the white space that thought we were going to have an agenda meeting that would like to say something to this board today? the discussion for this issue has been postponed, delayed for a week till next week. Is that correct? No?
Chairman Gleason and members of the board, I don't anticipate that there will be any item on the public agenda for next week's discussion.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else want to take a moment to give a public presentation?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question about that?
Yes, please.
When will we have an opportunity then to have a public discussion where the public can come and share with us their concerns about representation of their areas under the SIGMO Act? And when can we facilitate a discussion like that then?
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, I anticipate that that would occur no later than the next 30 days.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, seeing nobody else, so we will close public presentations and bring it back to board member announcements or reports. Seeing none, we'll keep moving, and it brings us to item number 29. Under Human Services, request to accept in-kind donation from Andrew Hoffman of the Boy Scouts of America, Southern Sierra Council Group Troop 13 for 1,250 pieces of new and gently used clothing items ranging in size from newborn to 5T, valued at $3,500. Ms. Murphy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm your Director for Department of Human Services, Dina Murphy. This is a refreshing day for me to have two back-to-back items that are so positive. This young man standing next to me, Andrew, come right up here where they can get you on camera, is just 16 years old and goes to Garces and has been working on his Eagle Scout project. And I shared with Andrew, this is special for me because we're a scouting family. My father was an Eagle Scout, my oldest brother was an Eagle Scout, my nephews are Eagle Scouts, and I realize what goes into the projects, and I think that it's an incredible beginning for a boy turning into a man and watching their leadership ability and the emphasis on honesty and hard work and problem solving and all that goes into being, an honor-bound scout. Really starts a young man on a good foot in life. Another very special thing about this to me is that Andrew is a former foster youth, and when he came to me, he wanted to give back to foster children. So the project that he selected, when he talked to me about what could he do for the foster children at Jameson Children's Shelter, when a newborn to a 4 or 5-year-old come into the shelter, we very quickly place them into a home setting. But when they come in, they don't come in with clothes, and immediately you have a family taking them in who has to get to the store and shop, so we always try to send each child with 3 or 4 outfits and socks and underwear, etc. And Andrew's taking care of that for us into the future for a while by having collected clothing goods for newborns up to 5T in the amount of, over 1,200 outfits? Yeah. Over 1,200 outfits, and since I met with him maybe 18 months ago, I think he's grown 6 inches, so I'm sure they've had to put him in new outfits too. But this is a cost savings to the county, but it's from his heart, and it's a service project that really moves our families forward. So I'm so very proud of him for what he selected to do on our behalf, and I would like to turn this over to Andrew to share some of his project thoughts, and behind him stand his scout leaders for moral support today, but just a very refreshing presentation.
Thank you, all of you. It has been amazing and long time for me to gather all of these clothing for these children. As you know, I'm running my Eagle Scout project, and I did not do this alone. I have had help from my family, my friends, my troop, my church, and Garces High School. I sent out letters to Bakersfield businesses telling them about the youngest foster children who needed clothing. I also placed donation boxes at many businesses to collect these for kids. The response, it was very incredible, and I just hope these kids, get the love and care that I have from my mom. I'd like to thank my mom. She's always been there for me and has helped me through everything. Even in as you know, I was a foster child myself, and I just really want to see these kids grow up in a great home as I have. And I just thank you all. Thank you for everything.
We're so proud of Andrew, and you'll notice that last name Hoffman, his entire family serves our community, our Kim, our Hoffman Pharmacy, Tom Hoffman, Hoffman Hospice. They have servants' hearts they give, and you can see that in the way that Andrew's been brought up into his beautiful young man status, and I'm sure that we're going to see a lot of him in the future giving back to our community. He's going to be a natural leader. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did we get enough pictures? You can get more pictures if you like. Okay, we're going to need a motion on that one.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize you to sign a letter of appreciation and approve the donation. Thank you.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Please reconfirm your vote, Supervisor Perez. Thank you. The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you, and thank you, Andrew. You made my day. Made all of our days. Brings us to item number 31 under the library. To report regarding $75,000 grant for tech modernization at the Beale Memorial Southwest and Ridgecrest Libraries. Ms. Kern. No.
Miss Apple instead of Miss Kerr, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how we can follow what just happened here. I've teared up at every presentation this morning so far. I promise not to make you cry with this one. So good morning. Thank you for giving us an opportunity, the Kern County Library, to share with you some exciting developments in our department, and it was as a direct result from our community survey in fall 2015. So this grant is a $75,000 tech modernization grant that we are highlighting today, and it's one prong of three-prong effort toward changing our infrastructure at our libraries. The other two prongs we are developing is offering a testing center at the Beale Library in partnership with ETR, and creating a digital arts lab at the Beale Library for teens and adults, and that was also as a result of a grant and in partnership with community partners, which will offer graphic designing to adults and teens, and to build robots and to learn STEM and creative arts abilities. So these are some of the efforts that we are going to highlight today. I'm going to give Jasmine the opportunity to speak to you and tell you a little bit about the grant.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Labasso. I work with Andy Apple in the marketing division. This grant was something that we were really excited about. We've been talking about bringing in new technology to the library for a long time, and we've been talking about it for a very long time, and so it was really, really exciting. Back in October through December, when we held the community survey, that our community members wanted exactly the same things we were excited about. When we surveyed them, we found out that the majority of customers were interested primarily in seating and tables to plug in their wireless devices, which is a trend among a lot of public community spaces, to have the ability to plug in your devices, to plug in your computers, tablets, to stay connected essentially. And the other major trend we saw was that our customers wanted more technology workshops, courses to learn how to have basic computer skills, basic word processing skills. Among the other trends we saw is that our customers also wanted a coffee shop and passport and notary services. But overall, the basic theme was technology, was ways to stay connected and ways to stay connected within the library. But this isn't really surprising, I don't think, to anybody. Right now, the majority of Americans do everything on the computer. They do everything on their mobile devices. 96% of working Americans use communication technologies as a daily part of their life. 62% use it as an integral part of their jobs. There is a good portion of Americans that are completely dependent upon their smartphones and have no access to the internet except through their smartphones. That is actually, the number is 15%. They own a smartphone, and that's the only way they're staying connected. And smartphones, they range, especially based upon income. Your phone could last anywhere between 3 hours to 13 hours, with the 13 being very, very rare. So this was really an opportunity for us to make sure that our customers have technology and are staying connected. So we decided to do the Pitch an Idea grant. This opportunity is something that is offered every year by the California State Library. The way it works is through the Library Services and Technology Act. You apply for the grant, you suggest a certain program, and you suggest a certain amount of money, and then you go on a phone call with the California State Library and you pitch your idea to them. And so we said, look at all these people in our community that want these things. And so we pitched it, and we were awarded $75,000. We are going to be implementing furniture with power outlets at Beale Memorial Library, Ridgecrest Branch Library, and Southwest Branch Library, which is our three most well-attended branches. If it goes well, we want to bring funding in to bring this to all of our branches. We are going to install quick charge stations, which the only way I can describe them is they kind of look like the size of a license plate, and they're either hung on a wall or they're standing up, and you can plug in your phone and you get a really quick charge to your device, so that if it's completely dead, you can charge it right up. I don't know if anybody's been to a hospital recently, but they have these at a lot of the ERs now for when people are needing to stay connected and get in contact with their family members. We're going to purchase Chromebooks, and they're going to be available for checkout to our customers so that they can stay connected at home too if they don't have devices at home. We're going to also purchase portable chargers and give them for checkout, and this is something they can use when they're in the library, outside the library. And we're also going to provide digital literacy workshops. We're going to provide courses on basic computer skills, how to set up an email, word processing, Excel, a whole range of courses at these branches, and these are going to start around the beginning of the year and go out through the entire term of the project. And we are also going to develop materials to continue these courses past the grant life. So we're really, really excited about this. I'm going to give it back to Andy to kind of explain how this is going to bring us into our vision.
Where we see ourselves, where we are headed. Almost everywhere you look, you see them, people toting smartphones, tablets, and laptops. Our users feel best served when they can be easily connected to an internet-enabled Wi-Fi hotspot. But there were some questions that we had to ask ourselves. Are we designing or redesigning our spaces appropriately to meet these needs? So there were three things that we had to look at, which were assessing our IT infrastructure, making our spaces more mobile-friendly, and putting collaborative working spaces into that mix. Because what we're finding, a lot of these, like Jasmine mentioned, the emergency room?
Yes.
There's a lot of people hanging out together in a lot of different public spaces, and one of them, the Kern County Library. So they need collaborative workspaces. A lot of them are students, a lot of them are returning students, a lot of them are just adults that like to work on projects. So The bottom line is that technology will undoubtedly continue to evolve as other aspects of the library have. We are continually learning to design for flexibility and adaptability without being able to see clearly what the future will bring. With these possibilities, and to realize how critical the infrastructure will become in providing library services and remaining relevant in an ever-changing world. Just as libraries have historically provided reading rooms for users to access and work with print collections, we will now provide common spaces for them to access and work with digital collections. So the collaborative workspace is a natural extension of the library's traditional mission in a wired world. So that's what we have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate that presentation. Let's open up for public comment. Public thought. Anybody? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for your thoughts. Vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Okay, I have a Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman. This is extremely exciting, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for being innovative, creative, and going outside of the county to look for support for what we know is a great need and demand here in our community. I know you spent a lot of time, along with Mr. Nylon and others, over the last year, listening to the community. What are the needs? What are the interests? And I just think it's so incredible that you listened and are responding to what are the interests of the community. Everywhere you go, be it the airport, Starbucks, wherever it is, people are constantly looking to check in, to plug in, and batteries, are still catching up with the demand. So the possibility or the reality that folks will be able to really be dialed in technologically and otherwise at our own libraries is just really, really cool. It's cutting edge, it's 21st century, it's all of the above. So I'm excited. I want to say thank you. I think this board in particular is so grateful that we see these dollars coming in now that are a relief to the general fund, of course, and really indicate the strong support statewide for literacy and for making sure our population is able to compete and stay connected. So thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. This is exciting, and I appreciate your creativity. I think David made a, Supervisor Couch, did you make a motion? Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Brings us to item number 36. Presentation of the Kern County Child Death Review Team's 2015 Annual Report. Mr. Constantine.
Oh, sorry, let's switch. Mr. Chairman, good morning. I'm joined this morning with Russ Hastings. He's going to do the presentation this morning. We are here to talk a little bit about a more somber subject. Oh, and I have the copies for the clerk, sorry. This report is a serious topic, obviously, and it is to review deaths that have occurred in 2015. It is a difficult subject to talk about, but it is a necessary subject to talk about. And the point of this is to learn from some of these tragedies that have occurred over the last year. We take this responsibility very seriously. We were before your board last year at this time, and it serves as a call to action. Last year at this time, we coordinated with Kern Medical, and Mr. Nylon assisted, and we have made some significant improvements where it comes to deaths that are caused from unsafe sleeping environments. Although that continues to be a struggle that we face in the county, we have really pulled together, and we have a good example of agencies working together. So I'm going to turn it over to Russ and let him walk us through the 2015 report.
Thank you, Mr. Constantine.
My name is Russell Hastings. I'm a supervising public health nurse with Kern County Department of Public Health. I'm also the chairman of our Kern County Child Death Review Team. So I just wanted to take a few moments of your time to review the 2015 report in its entirety. So just to give it a little background, CDRT was established back in the late 80s through California legislation, and in Kern County, we began reviewing child death cases shortly thereafter. And the team was tasked with identifying and reviewing suspicious child deaths and facilitating communication among agencies. Our mission is to reduce child death associated with child abuse and neglect and reduce preventable child deaths. Our team membership, we have a very robust team in Kern County when compared to other counties. We have a very diverse group of individuals that sit at the table each month to review these very somber cases. We have county council, we have Kern County Network for Children represented, Department of Human Services. Several of these individuals are actually in the crowd this morning. We also have law enforcement. We have a detective on the team that provides their perspective, as well as public health, mental health, and then we also have a couple of physicians on the team, one from Memorial Hospital and one from Madera Hospital, the Children's Hospital up in Madera. So it's a very diverse group that each brings their own unique perspective to the team when we do these reviews. That way we have a comprehensive review, and when we write the report at the end of the year, we have a full picture of what exactly is going on. And again, just wanted to touch, I mean, this is where else does such a diverse group of individuals come to the table each and every month towards a common goal. So kind of the meat and potatoes of CDRT has always been collaboration. We're always out in the community doing outreach and addressing those issues that are identified each year. We're always working at streamlining processes. I mean, at the county level, a lot of times we work in our silos, and sometimes there's room for improvement for collaboration within our agency and with other county agencies. So we're always looking at ways to bring services to those that are in need more efficiently and more quickly. We're always looking at hospital policies and the potential for change to address those issues that have been identified in past Child Death Review Team reports, whereas a change in hospital policy potentially could affect the numbers that we're seeing. And then, of course, strengthening our partnerships with other community agencies. Again, we have to have a concerted effort and everybody on the same page to address these issues and address these trends that we're identifying each and every year. So before we get to the results, I just wanted to touch on what exactly CDRT does. So each month we meet, we sit at the table, the coroner's office notifies us of those deaths that have occurred in the previous month. We're notified at least a week beforehand, and each of the team members takes that information back to their respective agencies, gathers the information that they have. If public health has had contact with these families prior to the death or after the death, we want to have that known at the review. Once these cases are reviewed, the data is compiled, we enter it into a state database. At the state level, they utilize this data to also address common trends that we're seeing both at the county level and state level as well. So to the actual annual report results themselves. In 2015, we reviewed 51 cases of child death. I've highlighted the two that stood out to the team as being of higher interest. There at the top, we have the blunt force trauma where we had 12 cases of death whose cause was blunt force trauma. Those are typically attributed to motor vehicle accidents. I know this previous year we had a plane crash that occurred in our county, so that was something that was quite unique that we had not gotten the opportunity to review in the past, so that would be also included in that blunt force trauma. And then there at the bottom is our sudden unexpected infant deaths, where we have a total of 19 cases that were reviewed. So of those 19 cases, not all of those involved unsafe sleeping. I think there was 12 in total, where after review, an unsafe sleeping environment was identified as a contributing factor. And just to note, there were 6 drownings this last year. 4 of those occurred in residential swimming pools, and then 2 occurred in larger bodies of water, such as the Kern River and the Riverwalk. So when we look at the deaths in terms of age, as you can see there, nearly half of the cases that we reviewed were for children under the age of 1. The other largest group after under the age of 1 would be the teenagers ages 15 to 17. Again, those would be composed of motor vehicle accidents, suicide, and so, but overall, under the age of 1 was our most prominent age group during reviews. So when we look more closely at those cases that we reviewed under the age of 1, as you can see, the overwhelming majority of those cases were sudden unexplained infant death or SUID, composing 80% of those cases reviewed for those children under the age of 1. 30% of those SUID deaths had co-sleeping involved. Co-sleeping is defined as an infant that is sharing a bed with a parent, caregiver, or sibling. So when we look at the manners and causes of death for those same children or same cases under the age of 1, as you can see, there are 3 causes that are highlighted there in green. Each of those contributed or were taken into consideration when calculating those deaths that occurred that had an unsafe sleep environment involved. So you can see a positional asphyxia where a child was wedged between headboard and mattress. We have contributing factor is co-sleeping, where that infant was co-sleeping with 1 or more parents, caregivers, or siblings. And then we did have 3 of those that were undetermined that also had an unsafe sleeping environment involved as well. So last year when we presented the data to the board, it was interesting when we mapped those unsafe sleeping environment deaths onto a map of Bakersfield. There was an area of interest that jumped out at us last year, and that was the Union Avenue corridor. A good portion of those deaths that we reviewed during that year in 2014, you could almost draw a straight line right down Union Avenue. When we mapped them this year for 2015, it wasn't so apparent. As you can see, the unsafe sleeping deaths were more randomly distributed throughout Greater Bakersfield and throughout the county, and so therefore we didn't have a geographical focus to direct our efforts and resources. So because there wasn't an area of focus that jumped out at us as a team, we decided, well, let's go back to the providers. Let's go back to the individuals that are touching these families each and every day during their prenatal care visits, when they're in the hospital getting education prior to discharge, when we have home visitation programs touching these families, or when they go to their WIC appointments. Anybody that has contact with these individuals, we want them at the table. So what we did is we went back to the table, thought about how we could more appropriately and efficiently address the issue, and more specifically regarding infant safe sleep. We still wanted to strengthen our efforts to increase community awareness, education, and resources relating to unsafe sleeping environments for our county infants. We've had a Kern County Public Health Safe Sleeping Project for a number of years now, where we provide a safe sleeping environment for those families deemed at risk in the form of a portable crib or what we call pack and play. We've given out several hundred over the years. Kern Medical more recently has developed their own Safe Sleep project, which rolled out earlier this year and has given out approximately 200 safe sleep environments since their inception, which is very exciting. And then lastly, something that I was very excited to be a part of, that the team worked very hard on, that we had for the first time in our county, was what we called a Safe Sleep Conference. It actually was held last Tuesday. And it was a conference that was put together to address, at the provider level, the education that is being given to these families prior, when they're going to their prenatal care appointments and delivering in the hospital. It was very exciting. We had anticipated having 60, physicians and nurses and caregivers to show up. We ended up with 87. It was standing room only. We had invited Dr. Thomas Keynes from USC. He is the foremost expert on SIDS research, and so he spent a few hours with us giving us the latest and greatest in SIDS research to give us the resources and the tools that we needed to be successful in our education to the public and raising community awareness. So that was very exciting and something that we anticipate doing in the future as well. So we've done all these great projects, and we continue to make these efforts, but obviously, as we can see by the data, it's not enough. We have to continue developing new strategies, continuing bringing more community agencies to the table. And we also want other hospitals to follow suit. Kern Medical has started their own Safe Sleep project. We'd love to see it rolled out in the other local hospitals. And we need more education and portable cribs in the hands of those that need them. Again, time and time again, we review these cases, and these families have been lost somehow. They were not given the tools that they needed to be successful with their children. We want to be that resource, and we want the community to be that resource. And so we want to have that concerted effort. So again, we want to collaborate with anybody that serves and or advocates for the well-being of children. It doesn't just have to be county agencies, anybody, daycare providers, anybody that touches the families that are at risk. So again, we'll continue to do our outreaching. We're enhancing our messaging. We're making sure that information that gets out to the public is both consistent, accurate, and not fragmented. We're going out to the schools. We're going out to the pregnant and parenting support groups that are in each of the high schools now, and giving them the education and the tools that they need. But we can do better. We don't have to just focus on that group. There are so many young adults that are caring for younger siblings that oftentimes are babysitting, or not even babysitting their siblings, but others. Those individuals need that education as well. We're also going to the foster parents to make sure that they have the necessary tools to be successful with their children. And then again, training the hospital staff is so vital in addressing this issue. In several of the cases that we reviewed this last year, it was very apparent that the education that they were given or not given was definitely inadequate or inaccurate, or like I said, fragmented at best. So that's why we want to keep making those efforts to address it and to get down to the provider level and make sure that they have the tools and the education that they need to be successful with their patients. And again, we're wanting to connect agencies that are actively involved in the care of at-risk populations. Public Health has partnered with Memorial and with Kern Medical to hold case conferences where we review those families that, when they go to these hospitals, they are deemed at risk or have social issues. We sit down at the table, we discuss, okay, what are the issues and how can we help? Public Health takes those referrals, we go and do a home visitation, we identify the lack of resources, we connect them to those resources to ensure that this does not happen with those families that the hospitals have shared with us. So this obviously needs to continue. And again, we're anxious to get support from the other hospitals. I know that we've currently partnered with 2 of the hospitals, but there are several others that we'd love to have the opportunity to collaborate with to address this issue. And we need to get ahead of the curve. We need to be proactive and not reactive. I would love for this report to be very boring the next time that I report to the board and be 2 pages instead of 27. And so we'll continue to address these issues and make sure that we do everything that we can to bring all those involved to the table. And just wanted to note that a large portion of these deaths that the team reviewed in 2015 were preventable, and that's exactly our role in reviewing these cases, is identifying these cases that were preventable, developing strategies and interventions to address these issues in the hopes of reducing the numbers. So I'd like to call out the community. We need to do better for the safety of our most treasured assets, our children. I'm again calling out to our community for help in making a strong, concerted effort to eradicate any unsafe sleep death in our great county. Even one preventable child death in our community is too many. So like I said, let's make our next annual report short and absolutely boring. And I'll ask the board and also the community to help us educate the community on the ABCs, as we like to call them, of unsafe sleep. It's a very simple acronym: alone, on their back, and in a crib. Following those 3 simple steps can greatly reduce your risk of having these tragic deaths occur in our county. If you need more information, public health is here as a resource to the community. We have a great, robust team in Kern County in terms of our child death review team. If you know a family or you yourself need help with providing a safe sleeping environment to your children, call us. We can help you. We can connect you to those resources, and we can make sure that your children we don't want to be reviewing any more cases of child death that involve unsafe sleep. So lastly, I wanted to thank the board members for your continued support by giving us the platform to raise awareness to the community and gain community support. With your continued support, we will continue to see our numbers decrease, and next year we will be back again to report on this very important issue. Thank you.
Mr. Constantine?
No, sir, that concludes our presentation.
Supervisor President, you want to speak before or after?
I can wait.
Let's go to the public. Anybody in the public wanting to make a comment on this issue? Thank you. Bring it back to the board. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. I have not had an opportunity to express to my colleagues the amount of collaboration and effort, extraordinarily so, that I personally witnessed by spending 6 weeks in the NICU this summer at Kern Medical. It was an extraordinary education. As you can imagine, I was there daily for hours at a time, and I was amazed at the education and effort by the nurses, enthusiastically and compassionately, to provide the pack and play that you referenced earlier, to give education to mothers and fathers that were leaving the NICU and taking their babies home. Safety videos that I sat through, watched, infants that we could practice CPR on, joint efforts with the Department of Public Health on the education process of getting tested for STDs, large scale, really mass communication to the community. And it's extraordinary, colleagues, what Mr. Constantine has done, of course, with an incredible team, but really with incredible leadership to really communicate effectively and compassionately to people how they can do their job better as parents. It is extraordinary. I witnessed it, I lived through it, and it was really remarkable to see all these parents who would leave. I was envious of them as they left the NICU, but certainly I was proud to see the county so engaged in education and in empowerment to parents, many of them with very at-risk babies and in very difficult circumstances. And so it was a point of incredible pride for me. Supervisor Maggard, I know this issue is very important to you. You would be proud of your public hospital to see the coordination, the effort, the compassion in it, but the incredible dedication to empowering parents and doing the right thing. So Mr. Constantine, really hats off to you. Mr. Judd, remarkable work being done at Kern Medical to make sure that parents know what they need and how best to provide and care for their at-risk child. So since leaving the NICU, Mr. Constantine's nurses have called me multiple times, and I'm always grateful when they go through and ask me a whole host of questions about the care that Noah is receiving, making sure that his appointments are met. And I can tell that some of them don't know who I am, and I'm always grateful for that because they're just so authentic and so concerned, and it's very sweet. So keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Supervisor Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an area that I have a great passion for. I thank you both for, and all those that you're serving with in this regard, to bring this to our attention. So many of the tragedies that we see happen in our society today are the result of people who've made a lifetime of poor decisions. They are self-neglectful, they are irresponsible, and they unfortunately then have the avalanche of all these circumstances of their life fallen upon them because of the poor choices they've made. That is not the case with these children. And it's why I have probably no greater sense of urgency about any issue that we face than this issue. It has struck me in my own home, not with the tragedy of any infant in my family. In fact, as far back as I can remember, that's never happened to my family. But we all love our kids, and I am just shocked each time I have a conversation with young mothers and fathers about how commonplace co-sleeping is, and how there is almost not a more dangerous place that our children are in than in bed with their moms and dads, or one or the other, and then that parent falls asleep. So that is so easily preventable. I hope that we really stay the course with that, and I don't know how we enlist the effort of every delivery portal in our community to make sure that they have those back in plays and that education going on, because it is, I think I've conveyed this story one other time, but it's worthy of telling again. Completely economically stable, strong marriage, a couple that has every good thing going for it, beautiful children, and there's nothing at all wrong with this home. And this young mom is in tears in my home, as I explained one evening. As we were at my house for a Bible study, actually, and I explained this report, and she realized that she did that regularly with her child. Well, it's nothing that they think they're doing that's wrong, but we have to have some way to get that to them. So in listing all those hospitals, I would love to hear the strategies we have of doing that, having more discussion about it. Let's name which hospitals are participating, and then we can encourage those that aren't to participate as well. There are programs in our community called MOPS, Mothers of Preschoolers. There are, I would venture to say, thousands of young moms who are involved in MOPS programs. This is the kind of discussion that should take place at a MOPS program, because it is every way that their child can be endangered, and something to make them think about. So I look forward to more reports from you about what we're doing, any way we can engage with you and making the public aware. But as much heartache as this causes me to read every year, it's something we must not blink in looking at. There's one other aspect of it I want to talk about, and that is the issue of suicide amongst our children. And if there's anything we don't want to talk about, it's probably our children contemplating harming themselves. But that's another area that I think we should have a candid, frank discussion with the public about, in places like with these MOPS groups, and certainly at high schools. There was an experience when one of my sons was in high school that one of his friends was contemplating suicide, and he had begun to gather the materials he needed to end his own life. And he said something to my son, who said something to me, and I remember vividly the table at the Carl's Jr. on the corner, around the corner from where I live, where I sat with his father and said, "Hey, my son told me this about your son. You gotta I had to tell you, oh, that you should have seen the look on that father's face as he ran home and talked to his son, who is now thriving in his life. But, we just have to engage in the conversation so we can look out for each other. And I'm, as sad as it is, I am grateful that you're willing to bring it to us, and as long as I am here, this certainly, I don't mean that some a little dramatic, because my colleagues are equally interested, but this will have a place at the table to talk about, and it will be long after I'm gone and you're gone, and the ball will be handed off to other people sometime long into the future. But I'm grateful that you guys are doing this, and if there's any way we can help, I'm interested in doing that.
Thanks, Supervisor Maggart. I have a question. On the map that you show, the chart that has where you plotted the instances of, you plotted 12 sewage out of 19. Where are the other 7?
So that map should have been labeled a little bit differently. Those 12 were actually the deaths attributed to unsafe sleeping. So we didn't map all the sewage deaths per se. We were just interested in those that had an unsafe sleeping environment involved.
So, but earlier, I think, if I'm reading this right, you have 19 events of sewage?
Correct, but not all of those had an unsafe sleeping environment involved.
Okay, so the other 7 did not have an unsafe sleeping environment?
That is correct.
So no sewage occurred with an unsafe sleeping environment in Ridgecrest or Delano or Shafter or McFarland, Tehachapi, those areas?
To our knowledge, no.
But your system of accumulating data and projecting includes reports coming from those areas, all of Kern County?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any other comments, thoughts, concerns? I'm looking for a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Thank you, guys.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
That brings us to an end. I need a motion to adjourn. Good job, Matt.